And you thought it couldn't get any worse, didn't you? Well, for the first time in 22 years, the Saints have lost back-to-back home games by more than 20 points. Maybe that's the good news. So the question is, what's coming up now? What should we do now? Don't just tell me fire Dennis Allen, fire Mickey Loomis, and whatever. I want real answers. Y'all want an hour's worth of therapy? Who do I look like, Dr. Phil? I don't know what's coming up next on the Dattitude podcast, but I guess it's time to find out.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't even want to. Where you at, New Orleans? I know where you are. Where you at, New Orleans? You happy? And hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there who have declared today as a day of mourning. I get it. There was just something different about that one. It feels like legit the end of an era. We'll get to it all. I even have Derry's Dime today. I brought it back. I had some people ask for it. You're going to get it. Coming in just a moment. We'll get to it all. Dattitude, episode number 297. Presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday. I don't know. What day is it? October the 18th, 2024. I am your beleaguered, exhausted, I don't know what the hell's coming out of my mouth today, host, Jim Derry. Whether you're watching on one of our NOLA.com social media channels or you're listening after the fact for comedic therapy after the fact, as always, I welcome you to being a part of the Dattitude family. If you're just picking today to become a part of the Dattitude family, man, you're a glutton for punishment. I don't know. Is it no? If it's show number 1 for you, I want to hear you in the chat. Okay. If this is the first time you're ever watching Dattitude, at least watching it live. I mean, obviously you can tell me after the fact. I'm not gonna be able to shout you out right now. Even I'm smart enough to know that. But if this is your first time watching this show, please let me know. You can be a part of the show by typing in your comment. That's all you have to do. You're watching on YouTube and Facebook, type it in. I will get it. Gabe will get it. He'll put it on the screen here in just a minute. We ask if you haven't already done so to subscribe to our YouTube page. Our ever-growing YouTube page where you'll always know when we're going on the air live every Monday through Friday, except for Tuesday, live at 11 a.m. You have access to all of our short takes. And if you don't know this already, you can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. via email, jderry@theadvocate.com. Okay, we have Derry's Dime coming up in a moment. And when I get to Derry's Dime, I am not going to take comments for that 5 minutes or so because I have to get through it. Okay. I have a lot to say today. Pelicans NOLA, hello. UBN asked me this morning, what is the over-under on fire DA comments today? And he put it at 10.5. I was like, are you out of your mind? It's way over 10.5. Black Preacher Man, salute. What is my honesty about the team? Oh, that's coming. Derry's Dime is coming. Dr. Dom wants to know, when Saints fans boo a player and why they cut, Lutz sucks. You're the second person to ask me that. Who cares if they booed Lutz? Lutz sucked at the end. Adam Varner says last night was the worst game he's ever seen. You haven't watched a lot of Saints football then. That was definitely not. Look, I know that the loss wasn't as bad. I mean, the loss was worse, I'm sorry, point-wise, spread-wise, than the game where they started Ian Book. The Ian Book, I mean, you got short memory. If y'all think that was the worst game you ever saw, and say y'all got short memories, because that Ian Book game was way worse than last night. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't good. UBN says we're going to have some fun today. Kyle Sherman. Dola therapy for the NOLA masses. He's crying. You got to learn to tackle. Yeah. Keep going. Go, Rat, go. We'll get into Rat way later. He's way down the list. Brian Estes, Saints need to get healthy on offense, but the defense doesn't have an easy fix. They seem to keep getting worse every week. All right, Gabe, I want you to save these comments because just stop where you are. We're going to get back to them. We're going to come back to them, I promise. That's what today is. Today's Mano E Friday. But again, I've had a couple requests to bring back Derry Dime, and I decided to bring back a short one, okay? This is not going to be as long. I used to have the Derry's Dime that would last like 20 minutes, and I would just go into detail. But that was back pretty much when we didn't have the comments. I wasn't really doing it live. So I did have something that I want to get out and say, and I want y'all to listen to me. Don't just type in chat fire, Dennis Allen, blah, 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 whatever. Okay? Don't say the same old shit, okay? Stop saying the same old stuff. I want you to listen to this, and then we can talk about the take. And again, we're going to come back to some of the comments before. I want to start Derry's Dime with Dennis Allen's press conference last night. I found it very interesting. If you didn't hear it, maybe you'll find it interesting too. Here you go.
Well, what happened was that second game, we got our ass kicked, or the second half. We just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. The second half, we sucked. We couldn't stop the run. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points. We got our ass totally kicked in the second half. That's what it boiled down to. It was a horse performance in the second half. Horse. I'm totally embarrassed and totally ashamed. Coaching did a horrible job. The players did a horrible job. We got our ass kicked in that second half. It sucked. It stunk.
Oh, wait. Gabe's telling me back there that wasn't Dennis. That's not Dennis Allen? Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. That's not. Oh, this is Dennis Allen. That's what he should have said. Instead, he said this.
You look at this game, and there was nothing complimentary about the game. In particular, early on in the game, we weren't really able to get anything going offensively. Defensively, we allowed them to have too many long drives. And so, therefore, in the first half, I think the time of possession was out of whack. It kind of got a little bit more balanced up as the game went along, but I think that's been a challenge for us. I think we're not winning the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. I think that's a challenge for us right now. And so, look, we've got, obviously a few days here before we have to play again. We'll go out to L.A. Next week, and we've got to find a way to put our guys in the best position to have some success, and we got to find a way to play better football. And so it's been disappointing. Obviously, look, injuries play a part of it, but we've got to find a way to play better.
It was the same thing, right? I mean, he just said it in Dennis Allen's own way. That was the same exact press conference, which is kind of my point. You could say it whatever way you want, but it goes to prove a point. Just like when Jim Mora said diddly poo, this was a diddly poo moment. And it's the end of an era. Whether Dennis Allen is gone before the Chargers game or makes it to the end of the season, he is, in the metaphorical sense, a dead man walking. Sure, the one or two Dennis Allen fans can blame it on injuries, but man, when your team plays with no heart and it plays like they don't care whether the season ends today or it ends in 2 months, that's it. That's all she wrote. For someone like me who has been fired multiple times over the past 12 years in this crazy business I live in, it is truly tough for me to advocate anyone being fired. Especially someone like Allen, who not only seems like a good dude, but someone who truly understands defense. However, when your defense is now a laughingstock with nowhere else to go but further down into a deep, dark abyss, there's really nothing else anyone can say to save you. Doesn't matter what any of us think, because only a couple of people in the end will have a hand in making that decision. But when it gets to a point where it's a certainty, it might as well be now. I've said and stand by my previous comments that a major move such as the firing of a head coach should not be made until a season is over. I think we can safely say that this one's done. I had a chance to speak to Sean Payton last night and be a part of his press conference, and I think he was even shaken by what has happened here. Of course, part of it was that he was back here as an opposing head coach for the first time and that his star pupil, Drew Brees, was being inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame. But it was more than that. The ego I saw for 16 years was absent. I believe he truly felt what has happened here. And that gets me back to the end of an era. Because the end of the line for Dennis Allen could also mean the end of the line for Mickey Loomis and the end of a 2+ decade run of something this franchise has never seen before. It's sad. It will continue to be sad for months, if not years, as this team will need a complete overhaul to ever get back to where they once were. Will it happen? I don't know. One can hope. It will be long. It will be painful. But for the first time, I am ready to say it needs to be done. And that is Derry's time. It needs to be done, man. You can start wherever you want, Gabe. The rest of the show today is going to be about us talking to one another. But I had to get my thoughts out. Hakeem says, where's the wrecking ball? The foundation needs to be reset. That's what I just said. It's true. Valerie Lynn, how dramatic of a change from the first 2 weeks and after. And again, you can blame injuries to a certain point. I understand injuries. And, at one point in the press conference, and I got another clip from Allen coming up later, and a clip from Alvin Kamara. But I was going to play the clip from Tyrann Mathieu, but I don't think it's necessary. We also have a clip from Sean Payton coming up from me asking him a question about being there last night. But the thing is, you can't blame injuries when your team goes out there and plays with no heart. And that's what happened last night. No heart. Pelican says Buddy D would have called the Saints a bunch of squirrels. When you quit on your head coach, it means it's time for the head coach to go. Again, I know it's easy for you to sit there and type and scream that a guy needs to be fired. And it's not easy for me to say that. And I don't know how many of you out there who are advocating for the firing of someone, if you've been through this before. It is heart-wrenching. It is heart-wrenching to go through a firing, especially if you've worked at a place for a long time like Dennis Allen has been here. So I'm trying to be human and trying to put myself in his position. But I don't know what else you could say or do at this point. Sean says this isn't the same team from week 2. This looks like an expansion team with everyone's leftovers. I don't care who you put at quarterback. The team is a dumpster fire. Time for a fire sale. You notice I'm not making jokes about the rat today. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Again, I told you it doesn't matter who the backup quarterback is. Doesn't make a difference. Ovide says, was looking for a paper sack. It was hard to watch. Yeah, there were paper sacks. There were people with the sacks on their head. You're only going to see that going forward. And I meant to put a picture. I have a picture beginning of the fourth quarter that I meant to put in the system, and I forgot to show you. That the bottom bowl was nothing but Denver orange. The Orange Crush had taken over the bottom bowl. Here's the scary thing, okay? And I was talking about this with Rod Walker last night and Zach Ewing. The Saints now, if Derek Carr isn't coming back and some of these other injuries, I don't want to hear the Derek Carr bullshit today, okay? I'm just telling you. If like, in all seriousness, if Derek Carr and some of these other injuries, if they don't come back for the Chargers game and the Panthers game even, because this team that played last night, they're not beating the Panthers in 2 weeks on the road. Because the red rifle, the red water pistol, the red rocket, whatever you want to call him, don't think he ain't licking his chops to put something on the Saints, okay? So let's just say if the Saints lose their next 2 games, which is completely possible, can you imagine the Superdome in 3 weeks when they come back home and play the Falcons? Can you imagine a Superdome full of Falcons fans? It's a disgusting thought, and it's very possible. Before we get to some more comments, and I'm bringing on Gabe in a little bit as well, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. If you've been thinking about selling your family-run or privately held business, then they can make a sad day like today a happy one. No, seriously. Most importantly, they can figure out what your business is worth, and they can help you hit the ground running, kind of like you're going to run against that Saints defense. Woo! Got some stats for you on that. Reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelton. They will maximize the value for your family-owned and privately held business. They do that by, I said the family-owned. I don't know why I like to repeat myself. I just like the way I think it sounds. Your family-owned and privately held, or should be or privately held. Sorry, Nick and Ron, I completely screwed up your ad today. It's not. I don't have it there. I don't have it with reading. I guess I can't read today. Anyway, they will give you a complimentary valuation to get started. That's how they get started. Trust me, they will not fumble like I did. More on this later in the show. You can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Nick Braden, I love you, man. Jared Robertson, welcome to the Who Dat family, the Dattitude family. We suck again. It reminds me of, what's his name? You can do it. What's his name again? I forgot. We suck again. That's what this reminds me of. Debo got called for a penalty in the x-ray room. It's not even funny. Dr. Dom's first ever live broadcast. Came here to enjoy the. You're a Bears fan. Get out of here. I know it's from the Waterboy, William. I meant the dude's name. I can't remember can't remember his name. David Dukas. Or is it Dukas? The day after the disappointment. That's what today is. Today is like one of those days. It just feels like it's the day, right? You look back at history, and Richie Fleming says, disappointing, embarrassing to see fans cheer for a man that flat out quit on his team and Sean Payton. I don't know that they were really cheering for Sean Payton last night. If that's what you're talking about. There were a lot of Broncos fans there. Lots. Richard Mullenschlatter, I hope I pronounced it right. DA should give Hayner a start. The whole different story. Again, we're going to get to that. Hakeem Batiste, this team is packed it in, especially on defense. We still got 10 games to go. Starters dropping like flies. Speaking of flies, I don't know where they came from. It's cold outside. They got flies. What the hell? What are they doing in this office while it's going? Black Preacher Man says, I don't think we can blame it all on injuries. To me, that's a cop-out. 100% it is. And Allen even kind of said, you can leave that on the screen for a second. Allen even kind of said that he wasn't going to use injuries as an excuse. But I love when you say injuries are an excuse and then you use the word but right after it. Means you're using it as an excuse. Melissa Henry says she's totally deflated. Time to go. Upper management, including Loomis. Maybe. Dat Boy Lunford, trash as a coach and general manager. I don't know what we're up to, UBM, but we're getting close to that 10.5. You see the point? Here's some stats for you. Here's one that I know that a lot of you will like. Well, I mean, you won't like it in the grand sense of things, but when you're talking about what you want to accomplish from the season, the last 4 times the Saints have had a 5-game. By the way, I'm just going to say a certain podcast host who was sitting within my vicinity. I said this out loud and he stole it and used it on his show this morning. I'm just saying. But he didn't say it right. So I will tell it to you right. The last 4 times the Saints have had a 5-game losing streak. The last 4 times the Saints have had a 5-game losing streak, there has been a coaching change following the season. Payton in 21. He did it on his own account, on accord account, whatever. Jim Haslett in 2005 didn't do it on his own account. Mike Ditka in 99 fired. And Jim Mora in 1996 quit with 4 games left in the season. So those of you who are praying to whatever God you pray to every night that Dennis Allen will be released of his duties, there's a stat for you. Timothy Miller says we need to rebuild the line with Rattler. Dude, are you joking? I'm not even reading the rest of it. Did you watch the game last night? Did you watch the game before that? Spencer Rattler sucks. Sorry. Stephen Phillips, Tom Benson is turning in his grave. He's filing for divorce from 6 feet under. Wow. Poor Miss Gale. What did she have to do with it? Marsh Dillon says, we now all see why Sean left. That ain't why Sean left, dude. That ain't why Sean left. Thank you, Ryan. Well said. Thank you. Again, I ain't getting to the rat yet because I got so much to say before this devolves into some BS. Leon Collins says, the team don't want to play for DA or Loomis anymore. Both of them are trash and needs to go. Miss Gale needs to do something ASAP. She has nothing to do with it, okay? Not every owner is like Jerry Jones, okay? There are probably only 4 or 5 owners like Jerry. Owners don't step in the middle of the season. But you know what? A lot of times the owners that do suck. I don't want my owner stepping in October. I just don't. Brian, Jim, welcome aboard. The Loomis is the problem bandwagon. I never said that. I never said Loomis is the problem. Not on that bandwagon yet. Okay, and Ben Johnson should be the main target this offseason. Ben Johnson's got a job. He didn't leave Detroit last year. You don't just go say, okay, Ben Johnson, we want you in New Orleans now. I know 8 other places wanted you to just come to New Orleans. Doesn't work that way. Kelby Barry, ownership needs to stand up and realize winning is important. You would hope someone would realize winning. Put that back up real quick. You would hope someone would realize winning is important. For Loomis to say winning organizations don't look at the end results, that's what bothers me. See, just because I'm not jumping on board of the whole end of the Loomis train era, I don't know where I'm at on that. That's a tough one for me. But to come out and say that is horse hockey. Okay? Horse hockey. I mean, Brian Esteve says DA should have been fired after the team overrode the kneel down decision at the end of last. I completely agree. I said that. And here's the difference. Again, I know we got a lot of new people in there today. And Tim Leach, why call a timeout take a knee? I'm going to answer that in a minute. I said that. Again, I'm going to repeat myself what I just said like 5 seconds ago. I know we have a lot of new people out there. I see names I've never seen before in the chat. I welcome you. Thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family. But if you've listened to me before, you've heard me say where I kind of advocated for Dennis Allen once the season started. I thought he should have been fired at the end of last season. The way he ended last season by apologizing, and again, the kneel down, the kneel down. You got me thinking about the kneel down from last night. The handoff to Jamal Williams from Jameis Winston for the touchdown proved that he had lost the Saints locker room. Now, I thought that he did the right things in the offseason by getting the Demario Davises, the Tyrann Matthews, the Alvin Kamaras back in his little world and back on board. And the Saints showed how well they can play by winning those first 2 games by as many points as they did, whatever it is. I've forgotten. I don't care. Doesn't matter anymore. But then what happened when they had some heartbreak? Okay. What happened to this team? How did it get to this? Besides the injuries, it's pretty simple. You drive down the field against Philadelphia in a game you completely outplayed. You can leave that up there. I'll talk about it in a second. In a game you completely outplayed against Philadelphia, and you let it slip away. And then the next week at Atlanta, a defense holds Atlanta that I think is a top 10 offense to 0 touchdowns. From the defense allowed 0 touchdowns. Derek Carr puts them into a spot to win the game, and then they let it slip away. And to me, that's where everything fell apart. Ty Lachele says, well, 32% of the team is on the injured list. So shut up. No. Dude, did you watch the game? You're the first numbnuts of the day. I mean, there's no way we could go through today without having a moron type something in. You're the first moron of the day. Did you watch the game? It has nothing to do with how many injuries you have. It's the heart. Even teams who are beat up, like the Saints are beat up, because there are other teams that are beat up too. When you play like that, there's no excuse for the defense whatsoever. You want to get me pissed off this morning? I was waiting. It's 26. I want it noted, Gabe, that it took 26 minutes for somebody to piss me off. Are you a moron? Seriously. Where are the injuries on the defense? Yeah, Paulson Adebo got hurt last night. He's out for the season. What about before he got hurt? They got run over like somebody was driving a Mack truck through the middle of the line. Chase Young, I still haven't seen him yet. Cam Jordan looks like a shell of himself. Don't make excuses. John Pace, our silver lining, we improved our defensive yards per game allowed. Denver only got 390 total yards. Yeah, but I have a stat for you. It's the first time ever that the Saints have allowed 225 plus rushing yards in back-to-back weeks. Ever. You think about and I said this last week, to say that now we're here 2 weeks in a row talking about something historically bad for a Saints defense. Brian Cabot, haven't seen so many backwards passes since Brooks was quarterback. Exactly. Somebody asked, we were in the press box, was that an interception or a fumble? I said, no, I think he just Aaron Brooks did. Anybody who's at least 30-something years old, 35 years old knows exactly what I'm talking about. How do you lose the football doing this? I don't know, but he did it. Watch a tape of Aaron Brooks going back to 2005. Red Rover, send Ben Johnson right over. It's not that easy, John Pace. I just said that. Hakeem, I think it was Hakeem that said the same thing. Man, it doesn't matter. The injuries are not an excuse. If you play like you don't give a damn, it doesn't matter how banged up you are. You can't go out there, and Denver was banged up too. Their starting right tackle is on the IR. Their center was hurt, but he played. Their left tackle has been hurt, but he came off of IR to play this damn game. Michael Marie says the fact that Dennis Allen is still the head coach of this organization is absolutely absurd. I don't know if absurd is the right way. Paula Arndt, Dennis Allen should be fired. UBN, we definitely fire his ass now, says Danita. We're definitely past 10.5 now. That was like the easiest bet. And I don't know. Mike Meir, Allen was never head coach material. You see, I'm going to go back to what I said in the last show with Larry Holder. I don't agree with that. And I'm going to tell you why. Real quickly. If you put yourself back to when Sean Payton left this franchise just screwed. He screwed this franchise over. Let's face it. Let's be real. When we were talking about booed at yesterday before the game, whether you're going to boo or cheer him, Sean Payton didn't do this team any favors, okay? You don't just up and leave. It's one thing, you don't tell me you weren't thinking about it, because if you weren't thinking about it and you did it on a whim, that's even worse, okay? But at some point towards the middle of the season or whatever, Sean Payton had to say, you know what, I'm thinking about leaving. You need to let somebody know. You need to give them a heads up so they can be prepared at the end of the season. You need to say, just heads up, Mickey. I'm not sure that I'm going to do it, but I'm thinking about leaving. Just between me and you, I don't want this to get out, but maybe you should start thinking about what would happen if I left. At the bare minimum, didn't do that. Larry Tank Gibson says AK-41 was pissed last night. Something is definitely wrong, and it starts with the guys that don't suit up. UBN says Rattler looks like the same quarterback I've seen get benched at Oklahoma and with mediocre at best at South Carolina. Shock. So we're going to save Rat Talk. Again, I'm going to use it. Rat Talk's going to be later. Adam Varner says the players want to change. If you lose your player's heart, you won't win a game. It's simple. Brings me to, I told you I had multiple clips from Dennis Allen. That was the clip of, I joked about Jim Mora and the diddly poo moment, and it's the end of an era, and I really believe that is the end of an era. Whether you make the move tomorrow or you make the move at the bye week or you make the move in January. I mean, at this point, and don't get me wrong, obviously I've been wrong before. I sat here and predicted the Saints to win yesterday. What the hell was I thinking? So I've been wrong before, but I mean, let's be real. The only way that Sean Payton, the only way that Dennis Allen digs himself out of this hole is if somehow the Saints come back to have a winning season. What do they need to do to have a winning season? Well, they can only lose 3 more games the rest of the year to have a winning season. You go from 2-0 in just a little over a month, and not just 2-0, but you had dummies from all over the place saying the Saints are going to go to the Super Bowl. It was like there were at least 3 experts out there saying they were my dark horse team before the season. I know I didn't say it out loud. Where are those dudes now? Silent as a church mouse. Rob Castro. They need to fire Dennis now. I don't know. What are we up to 20 UBN? Don't say they can't. They absolutely can and should. It happens all the time. It's a proven loser. Kept the ghost of Sean Payton around. He was the right hire when they hired him. Plain and simple. It's so easy. People crawl out of the woodwork. They crawl out of who knows where they crawl out of. Yes. Should he be fired? Absolutely. Did I say he should be fired after the Atlanta game last year? 100%. But don't come back. He should have never been the coach. Don't give me that. I didn't hear anyone. I know there probably were a handful of people out there, but I didn't hear anyone really saying that Dennis Allen shouldn't have been coach in 2021 or the big 2022 when he's hired. Get out of here. Danita, you're the second person to say that I need to be the head coach of the Saints. Are you insane? I don't want that job. Hell no. I don't want. People already hate me. You think they'll be calling for me to be fired by this time next year? And saying it, and he's a jerk too. Dennis Allen has lost the locker room, says William Booker. What else could be the issue? I mean, I don't think there's any doubt he's lost the locker room again. You know what? I am going to jump over Dennis Allen to Alvin Kamara. I know some people out there, if you didn't listen, it was late. The game ended late last night, and there were people out there saying that Alvin Kamara was blasting the fans. He did not blast the fans. Heard that from multiple people. What he says is he understands why they he said, if you just listen to the first little blip of it, and I don't know, maybe somebody out there only played the first blip of it and didn't play it longer. Maybe that's it. And did kind of sound like he was chastising the fans a little bit. But this is, I understand why they left. But I got to be honest, AK. You're part of the problem, dude. Look at his stats for the last 3 weeks in a row, or 4 weeks in a row even. And if you're listening after the fact and you can't see my screen, every week I put the key stats up here on the left side of the screen after a game. And if you can't read it, I'll tell it to you. Alvin Kamara last night, 10 rushing yards, 14 receiving yards, and he was playing well into the fourth quarter. He didn't give a damn. Even if you want your coach fired, you're a professional, man. We're sitting here and we watch this crap. I mean, I watch it for a living, and then I talk about it afterwards. You don't quit. I mean, if I got fired tomorrow and they told me you've got 3 weeks left, I'd come back and work for 3 weeks. Have pride. Have pride in yourself. He has no pride in himself. I'm really disappointed in Alvin Kamara. I got to be honest. About to show that clip. Daniel, Mariakis, I think we made the move and trade our solid players, give them a chance to win something, get draft capital and start the hard rebuild, get out of cap hell so we can actually sign players who can make a difference. The problem is, what are you going to get for him? I don't know. But listen to what Alvin Kamara said and watch, Rob, I'm a clown or he's a clown? Do you think he's calling me, oh, I'm a clown? Well, maybe I should dress up a suit and fold my arms. Then I'd look less like a clown. Clowns don't do that. That's how cool people stand. I don't have a suit like that, though. It's in the West Bank. Oh, boy. One of those mornings. But here's AK, and here's what he had to say, and we'll come back and talk about it on the other side. Clip is 1 minute and 33 seconds.
Well, Alvin, where does the fix begin?
Man, I don't know. We just got to be better. And I'm gonna get away from your question for a second and just say it's a couple of unacceptable things going on. One, our play is unacceptable, and two, the dome being empty or emptying out. I think I saw some fans leaving the second quarter. That's unacceptable, but I don't blame the fans. It's on us because they come to see us play and perform, and when we don't perform, that's the results you get. But I've never experienced that, and if I was a fan, I'd leave too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not good enough right now. For whatever reason, we gotta figure it out. It just is what it is. That's the reality of this business. And the other reality of this business is when you start losing too much, everybody get on the hot seat, right? Coaches, when the coaches leave, then players leave, and person that it just is what it is, and that's something that I definitely understand and I realize, and it just sucks. Because there's people that aren't in as good as a spot as me that are, they putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this, and like I said, when you do too much, when you get too many L's in it, and you don't produce enough wins, then everybody's eyes are on them. And we ain't I don't think we did it today. I think we came out flat. I think we came out. I think we just came out, and it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday, and we had a game. It wasn't Thursday night football.
He's telling you. It's the end of an era. But I'm disappointed that Terrence, I'm just sad. 100%. It's just sad. It's when a player like that who has earned the respect of not just his teammates, but everyone around him. And don't get me wrong, I still have a ton of respect for Alvin Kamara. I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that the last few weeks, he just hasn't looked like he cared. Grady Dubose says, pay that man to trade him to Super Bowl contender. At this point, Grady, think you got to trade him. Trade AK to the Cowboys. God, that would hurt. But it goes back, another thing that we talked about in the preseason that I'll bring back up now. When you're talking about Alvin Kamara and why the Saints, there's some things that this front office has done right. Now, they put themselves in this boat. They are where they are right now because they kicked cans and did whatever, but they finally realized it, and they said, you know what? We can't give Alvin Kamara $15 million a year. We don't know what kind of shape we're going to be. When they said, look, and this is speculation, but I think it's pretty good speculation because I've heard this from multiple places now. But they came out, and Danita says he can't get a damn yard. Yeah, well, got 10 of them, 10 rushing yards. But when the Saints probably said, look, here's what we're willing to give you. I'm guessing somewhere around $12 million this year and $12 million next year. Here's your 2-year, $24 million contract. Rip up the old one. And he said no. And he bet on himself. And the Saints said, we can't give you more than that. And they stuck to their guns. And it hurts because Alvin Kamara is going to be gone. But now start looking at other players that are going to be gone next year. I mean, think about where are we going to be even 9 months from now? John Duhon, teams are keying on Kamara when he's in the game and no one else is out there to relieve him of carries. I don't necessarily agree with that. Robbo Combs, you admire me, the most honest podcast on the net. Tell that to the dude who just called me a clown. Lance Dobard got tied up, but here you are, who dat family. He didn't give a damn about playing hurt or behind a bad line. I'm going to say, because we're going to talk about Rat again, and I know y'all going to be pissed off. This is what y'all don't like. This is when some of the people, they're still defending the Rat, okay? But I am going to say this about him. The dude busted his ass last night. I will give him that. Like, at no time, just because he has his issues that I'm going to get to, the dude did bust his ass. And I wish everyone did. Terrence said the 2 plays where he threw it to Kamara at the end of the first half were so awful. There were times, though, when Kamara didn't help him. So I'm going to give that to Spencer Rattler. Again, I thought he played as hard as he possibly could. Danetta, Calhoun, disagree about Alvin Kamara. O-line not doing their job. He's a true professional. He has a right to speak his piece. I completely agree with that. I completely agree. He absolutely has the right to say what he said. What I do have a problem, and Trinella says she agrees with AK. What I do have a problem with is what I've seen the past few weeks from him. And it wasn't just last night. I talked about this last week. There was a pass that Rattler threw to him last week that was a little behind him. It wasn't a good pass. But he just kind of half-heartedly reached back for it. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? I think it was right before halftime. And they were trying to run a 2-minute drill. And he just half-assed reached behind him. That's not like him. He wouldn't have done that if Derek Carr threw it. Michelle Barbado said, these guys are paid to play. Stop making excuses. You're getting paid millions of dollars to perform one job. That's a big part of it. Jack Hunter, your takes on this team and players are dumb. Out. See you, Jack. Jack's gone. Should we wait to talk about him, or you want to talk about Jack now? You think he's gone yet? Wait a minute. Is Jack gone? Did Jack leave yet? I don't like that dude. Yeah, me neither. Don't worry about it. He'll come back. Vibes Chip. Not a fan of the Saints, but I have a friend that is, so I'm completely unbiased. It's interesting to hear what we have to say. The Dattitude family. Gabe, is Jack still part of the Dattitude family? He said he's out. No? Should we let him in if he comes back? Robbo says he wonders if Gruden could turn this team around. I got to be honest, man. And I don't mean this is blasphemy, but right now, at this stage of October, I don't think the Lord Jesus could turn this team around right now. Maybe in the offseason, maybe. AK has given up a lot over the years. Terrence, I don't disagree with you, and you're a regular. Look, man, William Hood, AK was killing it when the line was healthy, game 1 and 2. You're missing my point. You're missing the point of why I'm disappointed in him. I'm not talking about overall. By the way, I'm not blaming anything on Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara is kind of representative of what I'm talking about as a whole. Gary Williams says no more Raider ex-coaches. I hear you. Well, AK is kind of representative, right? He kind of shows you, I think, what a lot of other people are feeling. I mean, look at Tyrann Mathieu last night. I mean, who doesn't love the Honey Badger? We all do. Interception right in his hands. Where was his focus? Yeah, accidents happen, but he didn't care. He didn't care all that much. Nothing can fix this team, Daniel says. Yeah, that bothered me. Then Danetta Calhoun says, disagree with my comments about AK. Okay. Playing his hand, he's been dealt. Front office needs it. We can't just blame everything, Danetta, on the front office and the head coach. Please don't speak on Carr. He's not a tip-top. I don't know what to tell you. If you're still hating on Carr, you're watching the wrong show. I don't want you to leave. I want you to be a part of the family. We can disagree about things. We're going to disagree about things. But I'll sit here and tell you right now to your face and watch the numbers go down when I say this. Derek Carr, if you want to list the 40 problems with the top 40 problems with this franchise, Derek Carr is not even on the list. Top 40. Not even on the list. Ray Bauer, the team has quit on Allen. Yeah. I mean, where do you want to start with the problems of this team? Time to have a fire sale. I wish it was funny, Donata. I don't really think anything's funny right now. Randall, where you been? I was waiting for you to come back and tell me how great my pick was. I told you. Even I'm not 100%. There he is. Where you been, man? Wait to tell me about my pick. Robbo says he predicts the 2025 Saints will not look anything like the 24 squad. There ain't no doubt about it when you give up what they've been giving up. Jerry's here. I don't know, man. It's still a who dat world. But look, before we move on, and I want to bring in Gabe for a minute, and we're going to have plenty more comments. I mean, I said we got a ton of them in the queue. But I want you to listen to, we compared Dennis Allen and Jim Mora. But here he is searching for answers. It's a perfect example. Before I showed you of his frustration, and this is a minute 32 seconds of him. You know how we said metaphorically, or I said in Derry's Dime, metaphorically, he's dead man walking. If this doesn't tell you that he knows he's dead man walking, I don't know what does. He doesn't have any answers. And when you don't have any answers, this is why I'm with you now, I guess. Again, I hate it, advocating for someone to be fired, especially in the middle of a season. But I don't know what else. When you're talking like this and you don't have answers, I guess it's time to go.
I don't think we've been able to put our, thumb on one individual, thing that's, that's caused these things. I think it's, it's kind of one of those years managing that.
If players are frustrated by this, how do you manage that?
Yeah, you got to stand up and lead. That's what you have to do. You have to stand up and lead, and that's what I have to do. That's what our coaches have to do. That's what the leaders on our team have to do. Because we're the only ones that can get us out of this. Okay? Nobody. It's not like we're going to have a draft in the middle of the season. Nobody's going to be coming in here to be the savior. We're going to have to do it ourselves, and hopefully we'll begin to get some guys back. Because look, early on in the season, we played good football, so I know this team has it in them. Okay, I got 2 tapes that show me that this team has good football in them, and it's got good coaching in them. But right now, we're not playing that way, and obviously, there's multitude of reasons why, and we got to figure out how to get back to playing that type of football.
And I got 5 tapes to tell me that you don't know what the hell you're doing. You got 2 tapes tell you they're good. I got 5 tell you really bad. Eric Kurtz, team definitely quit on Allen. It's obvious. Not that they're losing, it's how they're losing, which is my point. It's how they're losing. To whatever your name was that called me a clown. Oh, you had to work today, Randall. I'll get it. It's not that they lost and they have 37% or whatever. By the way, you think this dude figured out that percentage on his own? Did he use a calculator? Did he longhand division? How do you think he figured out that 37%? Jeremy Henry, that game was painful last night. I don't care if it's 100%. I don't care if you have an entire group of backups. I need you to play like you care. I need you to play like this is the last game of football you're ever going to play. Jay Bird, I don't think the problems with this team are easily fixable. It'd be a good start to get rid of Dennis Allen, Mickey Loomis, and any players that want too much money. Well, everybody wants too much money. Hire a good up-and-coming coach. Let them assess the roster. It's time to start this rebuild. Where do you go? I don't know. Doing anything in the middle of a season is tough, but if you lost the team, you lost the team. Pat Meadowcraft says, isn't it the coach's responsibility to pull the team together? 100% it is. Team is not. That's what he just said. The team's not working together. They act like they don't care. So why should we as fans? And that goes back to, and again, If you can't see the screen, I'll tell you what's on the screen here. When I do these little slides, I do them for a reason. Past and future. We know what happened in the past. Saints have gotten their ass kicked. They've lost 5 in a row. They are 6.5-point underdogs at the Chargers when this game was basically pick 'em, not just a couple weeks ago. And then they go to the Panthers. And remember when we were saying, I was telling Zach last night, it wasn't that long ago when we were saying, oh, Broncos will win. When you're like, if you could just get through those first 6 games, everything changes. Broncos is a win, probably beat the Chargers. They'll go to Carolina and win. You can't even say that anymore. Just goes to show from last night. Adam Varner, somewhere Dennis lost the locker room. It happened last year, Adam. Wouldn't hurt to start Hayner. See what we're going to do in a full game. Oh, I'm about to get to that. But this started last year. This is why you've got to make moves at the end of a season. You can't let things linger. What would possibly make this administration think bringing in a new offensive coordinator, which is what you should have done before the 2023 season? Had you brought in a new offensive coordinator before the 2023 season, I don't think that's Allen's fault. Had you done that a year and a half ago, Dennis Allen might have had a chance. I know a lot of you will say, he sucks. He'll never be good. I think the right help, anybody can be good. Look at Coach O. He won a national championship. Coach O won a national championship. Coach O maybe had the best college football team ever. Coach O. And then ran LSU into the ground. Ray wants to know, did I notice how Sean was going up and down the sideline in players' ears? Allen was staring into space. I mean, he is who he is. I forgot to upload the Sean Payton clip. I'll do it now while we're sitting here talking. Ryan Chano says defense made the Broncos offense look good. That's saying something. Did y'all, that's another thing. This defense was so bad. Did y'all see Bo Nix on that first drive? Like, they weren't just wide open. They were like standing there going, hey, hi, Bo. And then he missed him by like 3 yards. I will say this, and y'all know, anybody who's watched more than 1 or 2 shows knows what I think about Spencer Rattler. He ain't the future, but he's better than Bo Nix. Gabe, you can shake your head all day long. Bo Nix sucks. Dude, he's terrible. He can run. That's about it. And, I got a Sean Payton clip coming up, and before this clip, somebody was asking him about him, and Sean was talking good about Bo Nix, and I'm like, dude, get out of here. You're going to be in the same boat before too long. Sean says Dennis looks lost. He doesn't have a clue on how to fix the problems. That's what he kind of said that, right? Cleaning things up every week. However, it comes with the same results. Jay Bird, Howdy Doody was a lot smarter than Dennis Allen as a head coach. I wanted to go back to something y'all asked me earlier about the timeout and then the kneel down. He actually talked about that in the press conference, but I was making fun of him on Twitter. I kind of felt bad afterwards. Those of you who are at least 35 or 40 will probably know what I'm talking about. If you're not, then you can look it up. You can Google it later. Any of you seen the show Crank Yankers? Did you watch Crank Yankers back in the day? I think it was on Comedy Central. I don't know when it went off the air, but I used to watch it all the time. It's a segment. And look, I know you can't say this anymore because we live in a PC world and that's just rude, but whatever. It reminded me of Special Ed. There's a character named Special Ed. Google it. Like, I've got mail. I've got mail. That's what it reminded me of. Dennis Allen looked, and then he talked about it. He didn't know who called the timeout. Bart Prudhomme, that is a long comment, my friend. I don't think I can read the whole thing, but he was there last night when you're going to go at a half, kneeling in the ball, and then come out in the third and only have the ball for 39 seconds. And then I leave because I had enough. When I exited the dome, I realized everyone was leaving. Discussing Disgusting, I think you mean, to play the way with Breeze in the house. Look, Dennis Allen said he doesn't know who called that timeout. Well, isn't that your job to know who's calling timeout? And isn't it your job to, like, you talk about, you just called timeout to play before. So didn't you have discussion on what's going to happen after this play? Kenwan Taft Nicky Gettridge says we're in disarray. Yes, we are. Sean says team plays no harm. That's a lot of those today, Sean. Pelicans Nola, D.A. Shanevis on Drew Brees night. Sean Payton talks about Drew Brees in his moment. And I had to find a way. Thank you, Sean. You gave me a little mini segue to get my clip in here. Again, I did get a chance to talk to him in the post-game press conference. I asked him a question. This is part of it. I also asked him, I find the answer interesting at the end. But he talks about being back in the dome. And before the clip starts, he was talking about how emotional it was. And, you know, he goes back in time and he gives a long-winded answer to Rod Walker's question about going back to 2005 and changing the culture here. That's kind of what you need to do now, right? I mean, whoever comes in here, there's no Katrina, but somebody's still going to have to come in here and change the culture because this culture is about as low as it's ever been. And I got the sense from Sean Payton last night, really, and I said this in my dime, that it wasn't what he expected it to be. I think he probably thought about it in the offseason and couldn't wait to have a chance to kick the Saints' ass, come back in here. But I think he was surprised at how he felt. And again, this is just getting a sense of throughout the entire press conference, not just the question that I asked him. And it went so fast, and he didn't get a chance to spend as much time with Drew Brees and everybody else. And when he walked up the podium, I said, "Welcome home, Coach." And he kind of looked back and he goes, "Thank you," like it hit him. It dawned on him. This was his home. But I asked him about the night and the fact that it was Drew Brees' night. And then I'm going to let it finish out, and I'm going to come back and talk about why I said something about the last question. And I think when you listen to that last question, and his answer is very brief, it's one sentence, I think, or two. But you can tell that he never thought about it, that it could be possible. Just listen to the clip. The clip is 1 minute and 14 seconds. I find it very interesting.
Was it even more emotional that Drew was here on the night they're honoring Drew as well?
Look, he long before, when the game came out, is the night that he wanted to come in. They have a Hall of Fame, and then they have, a ring of honor. So he was being put in the Hall of Fame, and so it was good to see him. I mean, we had a chance, Streep, a few of us, like really quick, went over to the Hilton and just thanked him. We were all kind of underdressed in our travel sweats. This is a city that dresses up a lot. And, but it's always good to see him. I feel like we've seen each other quite a bit. He's been to our practices, and so, but anytime you see that whole group, even pregame, yapping a little bit at us, that was fun.
Do you ever think that, with it being 8 years in between visits and you're in the AAC, that this could be the last time you ever coach in this place?
I don't think it's the last time I'm ever going to coach in this place. Yeah. This is the last team I hadn't beaten.
You talk.
And the like, I think there was a moment where he was like, you know what? This could be the last time that I coach in this place. I don't think he'd ever thought about it. We kind of talked about it a little bit in the room there. And it's, I mean, what is he, 63, 64? Donetta, you like my show. Most of my opinions do. We don't have to always agree. This is what I'm saying. Look, we have as big an audience right now probably as we've had in a while. So I'm going to say this, okay? This is something I say at least every other show. You and me, and even Gabe, we may all not agree on things, but that doesn't mean you have to stop listening. Just because it's the same thing I would say if you were, and I would invite you to sit here on my couch. Seriousness. Think about when you're sitting with your boys or your boys and your girls or your family or whatever. It's Thanksgiving dinner and everybody's over. You got 20 people sitting there. I don't care if they're your family or not. You're not going to agree with them all the time. And you start talking, it evolves into something else. I'm talking to you the same way that I would talk to my family. Just because we don't agree. Even if you call me a clown, I might still love you. Keith Thomas has been a fan since 67. The only thing he's seen familiar from the past from this team, fans wearing bags over their heads again. That's what I'm talking about. That's the theme of this show. It's kind of like the end of an era, right? I mean, there are certain games you remember, or at least certain moments in time you remember, okay? You may not remember certain games, but there's certain moments in time. I remember the whole Katrina thing and Jim Haslett and going down there and knowing this is it for Jim Haslett. I mean, first of all, Jim Haslett, it kind of like Dennis Allen, if you remember that far back, if you're old enough to remember, you know that Jim Haslett had pretty much worn out his welcome with Saints fans. Jay Bird, he's Jim Haslett 2.0. Good defensive coordinator, but terrible head coach. And Jim Haslett had, 8 years? I mean, it was the same thing it was Katrina that forced him out. This team was loyal. Mickey Loomis. This team was loyal to a fault. It wasn't just Mickey back then. UBN says the fact DA admitted he has no idea who called timeout is insane. True. But that's kind of where this team is right now. There's no Katrina, but it certainly feels a whole lot like 2005. That's where this team feels like right now. Kyle Sherman, Drew Brees' facial expression before the half said it all. Felt badly that he was honoring a game that was dishonorable. Can you imagine what Drew Brees is thinking right now? I can't imagine. A-Town, I sound like Spud McConnell. Hey, I could be called to work. I'm about the same size as Spud McConnell, too. I don't know if y'all know who Spud. There's a lot of people out there that don't know who Spud McConnell is. He's a former DJ for WWL. He had his own show on WWL. And also, little known fact about Spud McConnell as we go completely off on a tangent, he was John Goodman's friend on Roseanne. He became very good friends with John Goodman, who became a New Orleanian, sort of. Jacques says this team reminds him of the 05 squad. Poor effort from players, a rudderless ship with zero hope to win. And the sad thing is about that 05 team is, had Katrina not happened, there probably would have been another, 9-7 kind of season. And maybe Jim Haslett would have never left. Maybe Sean Payton would have never came. Maybe Drew Brees would have never came. Maybe Aaron Brooks would have still been the quarterback. Jay Bird said, just glad the media is calling out Dennis Allen. He's been protected for too long. It's not that I haven't been calling out. And I know you're not just talking about me. Even the fanboys calling him out now, man. I heard some, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's one podcast host I heard saying it's time for change that I never thought I would hear negative from that person's mouth. Kyle Sherman, Haslett has Carl Smith as the clipboard holder. That was actually Jim Mora. Had Carl Smith. Ray Barra, only problem now is we don't have Tom Benson. I think y'all give Tom Benson a little too much credit. Brian Dubas, why is Allen still the coach? The reason why Allen is still the coach is because there's multiple reasons. How many times do I say this, regulars? The Saints are loyal. Finish it out for me. They are loyal to a fault. And they thought that they were going to give him one more season because they were going to prove that they are smarter than a fifth grader and that they were going to turn Dennis Allen around and he was going to show you and they were going to bring in a new offensive coordinator and that was going to change everything. The problem is, and Brian says to their detriment, I agree, to a fault. Loyal to a detriment, loyal to a fault, whatever you want to call it. I mean, but once you start a season, once you get into like April or March even, Sherry says doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, the definition of insanity. Once you get into March and you say, okay, we're rolling with this ship, you got to roll with it. You can't change then. Because if you do it in midseason, even you, New York Jets, Kendrick says if Tom Benson was here, Dennis Allen would have been fired. That's not true. 100% not true. Nothing would be different if Tom Benson were still alive right now. I promise you. Not a damn thing. Then it says Tom Benson is rolling over in his grave. He's not okay with this mess. He's not okay with it, but he wouldn't have done anything differently. Promise you. It has nothing to do with Gale. Corey Terrio, who's the next coach? I have no idea. I'd like to come out and give you a list. I could give you a list of 20 names, and the next coach probably wouldn't be on it. I don't know. I mean, you know who they're going to probably end up hiring? And I have a special place in my heart for this person I'm about to say. So I don't mean any ill will, but it would be basically the exact same hire we have now. Can you see him hiring like Vance Joseph, who is a defensive coordinator extraordinaire, who already had a chance to be head coach, wasn't good at it. And Vance Joseph's from here. Not only is Vance Joseph from here, but we went to the same high school. We graduated like 6 years after me at Shaw, 7 years after me. And if Coach Hank's listening to me right now, he's going to be mad at me later. Patrick said fired Dennis, hashtag fired Dennis Allen. Everybody's saying that. Ray, we could say Ben Johnson to the cows come home. But if he didn't leave to go to the situation, there's all kinds of situations. Aaron Glenn, that's a good chance. But we've talked about Aaron Glenn before. It's not going to be Ben Johnson, okay? No, you don't hire Belichick. You don't. What would Belichick do? How would Belichick start over at his age? Belichick doesn't want to start over. Mickey Loomis needs to go too. I'm on the fence, man. It can't be Bill Belichick. I can't believe I'm saying that. It cannot be Bill Belichick. I don't want a 72-year-old man. Yeah, Don Shula's got just as good a chance. I don't want a 72-year-old man trying to come in and rebuild the team. They need a young dude. They need somebody younger than me. Okay? Younger than me. I know that's not setting a high bar. Richie says, let's talk about why and how Airline Highway's house needs to be cleaned out. Tell us. That's a show for the offseason, man. We're still in season. I mean, I know today we're going off and saying DA needed to be fired. I'm letting everybody go off, and we are. But at some point, you got to turn the page. This is just because this is the game that kind of broke the camel's back, right? This is the game. Mike McCarthy, Barry, come on, man. No. He was here once. Bill is not younger than me. I'm old, but I ain't that old. Devon. I think you mean Vrabel. Your spell correct. Gotcha. Mike Vrabel. Maybe. I could live with Mike Vrabel. I like Mike Vrabel. He would bring some toughness into this building. I like that. Maybe. But see, these are things we're talking about today because last night was that, and I capitalized that, and you can put it in italics too. Dion, oh God, no. Dude. John Gruden, no. The coach from the Jets that got fired, Robert Saleh, or country boy Pitt. This show has really devolved. Bill's girlfriend is younger than me by half. I don't know. Is she? How do you know how old I am? Is she younger than me by half? Gabe? Really? I mean, my wife's 10 years younger than me, so that's a whole different story. What does that have to do with the show? I have no idea. Nothing, I guess. All right, look, I'm going to bring in Gabe for a minute. I want to get Gabe started. Let's get an outside perspective here, and then we're going to wrap it up with a few more comments. Okay, this show, I can't believe we're at an hour and 10 minutes already, but we are. So here's an outside perspective. For those of you, again, if you're new to the show, Gabe Henderson is the backbone of the show. He drives the ship while I just kind of sit there and look pretty. Oh, or look like a clown. Whatever you want to call it. Anyway, we'll see what the Houstonian has to think about this game. What's up?
Okay, speaking of clowns, this clown has returned to the comments, and I can't let him slip anymore.
Okay, what clown is that? Oh, your boy Corey. How about them Cowboys? Guess what? You could have a better record than the Saints, but guess what? If you go through a season and you got your ass whooped, and I mean your ass got whooped by the New Orleans Saints, you're probably not very good at home. How bad did you lose to the Saints and Lions? We're gonna go ahead.
Okay, no. Here's the thing. I'm speaking directly to you, Corey. The Saints did something last night the Cowboys couldn't dream of. They didn't give up 40 points at home like the Cowboys have done in 4 straight home games.
Twice. No, because they only gave.
You guys want to act like America's team? Bro, the
gave
Cowboys haven't won shit since the 90s. I wasn't alive.
91-27 is the combined score against the Lions and the Saints. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, it could be worse. You could be a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. Now,
okay, to answer this rate, as a Houston Texans fan, you don't want Bobby Slowick. He's frustrating as hell.
No. All right. But what is your take on what you saw last night, like overall? Because again, I got to at least have 5 minutes on the rat. So
my take is that you're
overall,
completely crazy for saying that he's better than Bo Nix.
Oh, I'm not talking about the rat. I mean, just your overall.
No. I know, but that was so my takeaway from last night, because I'm a sicko who sat and watched that whole thing. How in the hell is Bo Nix an NFL quarterback? First off, I'm not going to say anything on Spencer Rattler because he's really not a starting quarterback. But there's 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. How the hell is Bo Nix one of them? He's awful.
I don't know. Pretty bad.
And you know what? You can say whatever you want.
Because Sean Payton thinks he's a quarterback whisperer and he's going to turn him into Drew Brees. That's why. He
not going to
turn him into Drew Brees. Here's one, and I like this, and I've thought about this I think this is a possibility.
Okay.
Daniel Mariaka says Steve Sarkisian. I think that would be a great hire. I mean, he had his problems the last time, but it was because if you don't know Steve Sarkisian's history, he was as a self-professed alcoholic. And the last chance that he got, he messed up completely. He has turned around his life. Will he be able to make the jump back into the pros? I don't know. To me, that's an intriguing name that I think we should look for later on potentially.
Why would you want to?
You mean why do I want to? I think he's a really good coach.
No. I agree. I'm saying for him. Why would he want to?
Why would you want to? He's Steve Sarkisian.
He's built up one of the best brands in college football. He's returned
I'm not
to
saying
prominence.
He would want to.
Okay. Just saying he's returned Texas to prominence.
If you throw enough money at somebody and you there are people, you can shake your head. Look, I'm telling you, you don't understand the human being side of things. Like the Nick Saban had to build his ego. He needed to go to the pros and be proven that, okay, this isn't for me. I need to go back to where I belong. So I could see a guy like Steve Sarkisian saying, you know what? I can rebuild that program, especially if you're going to give me autonomy, which they probably would. So
I can assure you that the New Orleans Saints would not outbid Texas alumni to keep Sarkisian.
Yeah, but there's something about if it's even close. There's something about. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I don't think it would be close. I don't think. No. I don't know. I don't know humans, as you say. I know how crazy the alumni in this goddamn state are. And Texas A&M are two fan bases that, when they need to, will shell out money.
Maybe.
And
Brian
Texas,
says Sark's personality is too large for. Sark's personality is too large for his organization. Do you remember who the coach was before Dennis Allen? Besides Nick Saban, I don't think there's anyone that has a personality or an ego larger than Sean Payton. Just saying.
Bill O'Brien's up there.
Sark with Clint. That would be a fun one.
He wouldn't keep Clint.
He would not keep Clint. Charles,
can we talk about Clint Kubiak real quick? Aaron Glenn is the guy that I mentioned backstage to Jim. I think Aaron Glenn's a perfect fit.
He can't come here. He's not an alcoholic. I mean, he's still an alcoholic, but I truly believe that he's put all his problems in his past.
Mm-hmm. It seems so.
Look, I'm not going to throw stones.
I don't know. first off, the Clint Kubiak hype was way overdone after the first few weeks.
Still is.
He's got experience as an OC before, so we're really not only going off what he's done here, and he's really starting to look like a guy who's just middle of the road OC to great quarterbacks coach. He's certainly not the offensive mind that his dad was. But my biggest takeaway from last night is I genuinely don't know how Dennis Allen has a job still. I really don't.
Charles, I think, is just joining in. Did his DA fired? No. But Charles, go back and watch the beginning of the show, and I give you my dime, and
I honestly think
hit that time.
I honestly think Jake Haener might have bought DA another 10 weeks or whatever it is left in the season, 10 games.
I don't think Jake Haener has anything to do with it. I just think that's
I think the difference between, I mean, obviously take away anyone who watched that game because it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
But 33-3 at home is a lot worse for scoreboard watchers than 33-10.
I don't know.
A 30-point loss to the coach that quit on you to mark your 5th straight defeat in, as Alvin Kamara put it, an empty dome. You said there were a lot of Broncos fans. I mean, if you lose by 30 points there, there's no ignoring that. No matter how loyal you are, but I think that touchdown was huge because now they can say it wasn't as bad. I don't know. I just think it in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't do much, but I think 33-3 looks a hell of a lot worse than 33-10, and I think 33-3 is to that point where you can't ignore any problems. Now they can just ignore it and kick the can down the road to the end of the season.
So if you were Mickey Loomis, would you do it now?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too.
I would have done it at the end of last season. I mean, I
would have done it at the end of the season, but I mean, look, now you got a 10-day break. It's like somebody said.
You've got a 10-day break. It's the perfect time. You're 2-5. You've lost 5 games. This team is it's going nowhere.
There it is. I mean, Boyd Linhart says you have 10 days to try to fix some of the team, trade away what you can for more draft picks, complete rebuild next season.
Here's the thing. The
problem is they need more than a complete rebuild for when you say for next season. This is not your typical rebuild, okay? This is not a rebuild that where if you would have done it 2 years ago, if you would have gone into 2 years ago and said they need to rebuild, it wouldn't have been the same rebuild. It would have been the kind of rebuild where you're like, you know what, maybe we'll suck next year, but I think we're going to be good again real soon. I think the rebuild for this team now is needs to be so drastic that it's one of those ones where you're not going to be good again for a long time, like 3-4 years. So that's why whoever they hire for to be the next coach, it's going to have to be somebody that people really want to come here because they're going to have patience with them because whoever it is isn't going to win right off. And fans have to be willing to accept that whoever the next coach is not going to be put in a position to win anytime soon.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if they go after someone like Vance Joseph solely because he's got that experience.
Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you. What's the dumbest shit you've ever heard? Like what part?
He was referring to me saying 23 instead of 30. 30, all I'm saying, I mean, the Saints got their asses whooped either way. No one's saying that 7 points makes a huge difference there. I'm saying the difference, losing 33-3 is so bad that you can't ignore it. The Saints have been ignoring these problems. If you lose by 33-10, it is what it is. If you lose 33-3, if you lose by 30 points, it's the whole aesthetic of it, I guess, is how you put it. I mean, you can't ignore those issues.
All right,
you can now.
We got about 8 minutes left, and you have just set me up for my final 8 minutes, my friend. So
there you go. The Saints, to close it out, the Saints got embarrassed. None of these quarterbacks that they have on roster are the future. Spencer Rattler's not the future. Jake Haener's not the future. Derek Carr is here solely because he's being paid a lot of money.
Derek Carr's here because if they would have done what they were supposed to do 2 years ago and brought Derek Carr in and gave him a real offensive line and had depth at that position, at those positions, we'd be in a completely different spot right now, and we wouldn't be talking about this.
I'm gonna say this as someone who recently went through something with my team. It doesn't matter what coach you hire next. It doesn't matter who's under center next season. The Saints are not going to be a winning team for the foreseeable future. It's going to take a few years. There's really no hope left.
I wouldn't go that far.
I absolutely would. This roster is devoid of any talent right now with the injuries.
You're telling people to stop watching the show if there's no hope.
No, I'm not doing that. Rebuilds can be fun. If you turn on the TV, it can be fun.
When you're my age, buddy. I mean,
it can be worth it. All I'm saying is this team is too old, too devoid of talent. Throw in the towel now. Get rid of Dennis Allen. Make your next hire, and just... I'm doom and gloom? Okay. What the hell did you experience last night that gives you any sort of hope?
Nothing.
I'm not even a Saints fan, and I felt for the team.
Nothing gave me any hope.
There's no hope. The last 5 performances have shown no reason to be excited. This team isn't going to win anything this year. And your coach is a dead man walking.
We will
You've
have
got a mess for an offensive
We will have
line.
the number for the suicide hotline up on our next episode of Dattitude. I promise you, because Wednesdays with Gabe. I don't know. I don't even know how he's going to follow this up with an encore next Wednesday. There's no show on Monday, by the way. So.
Yeah, we don't have to watch the Saints play this weekend, so I can't really.
Well, start thinking about what you're going to say for Wednesday now, and thanks for setting me up for the last 6-7 minutes of the show. All right, we'll talk to you. Have a good weekend. You've now got me totally depressed. Thought I was depressed before. Oh man, he's right though. I guess. I mean, kind of right. I mean, I don't want to be that doom and gloom. But I mean, really, what is there? I'm just saying the rebuild is not going to be an easy rebuild, because think about what you need to rebuild. I mean, you honestly need to rebuild. What position do you not need to rebuild? Let's start with that. I mean, seriously, what is there a position where you don't need to rebuild? I mean, Lattimore is probably going to be gone if he's not going by the trade deadline, he's going to be going in the offseason. Paulson Adebo, we didn't even get to him. We're an hour and 22 minutes in there. We didn't even talk. Paulson Adebo's, if you don't know this, Paulson Adebo's got a broken femur. He's out for the season. Rashid Shaheed, remember mentioned, out for the season. I think you need to Demario Davis, if he's not going at the end of the season, he's going to go into Cam Jordan world where he's playing like Cam Jordan. And I watched, there were a few plays last night where I just watched him for nostalgic purposes and like, man, what's he doing out there? Why is he there? Chase Young, all that money you spent on Chase Young, $13 million. And look, it was a gamble. I thought that was worth taking, but he's just like collecting a paycheck. Kyle Sherman's right. You start by building in the trenches. And that is number one place you got to start. Charles, Hayner's not the future. Guess what? Neither is Rattler. I hate to tell you Rattler lovers this, man. And I'm not even, this is in no way, shape, or form a moment to where I'm taking up for Derek Carr and being a Derek Carr backer. I'm just saying. Did y'all watch the game last night? And if you're still thinking, I don't care who was hurt, who did what, who was playing, who wasn't playing, when you go for, 6 quarters now, and you score 3 points, and then your backup comes in and goes one drive and scores 7 points. Just saying. Dude, you don't want to Arch Manning have to go through. Arch can ask his grandpa what it's like to play for the Saints that have to start over. Ashley turned off the game at halftime. I don't blame you. I was there. I couldn't turn it off. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore is I don't understand why he wasn't traded before the season starts. And again, I hear last night when I'm coming home that he's like got some kind of like made up injury. I don't even know what it is. Get out of here. Whatever it is, get the hell out of here. I'm so sick of Marshawn Lattimore. I could scream. Get him out of here. Trade him for a 3rd round pick, a 4th. If you can only get a 4th round pick for him, trade him for a 4th round pick. Get him the hell out of here. Done with him. But AK is going to leave on his own. So you're going to have to rebuild the backfield because Kendre Miller, he gets hurt every other game, although he did show a little promise. Did I put him on here? I did. 6 carries, 36 yards. By the way, this guy won me a single game parlay. It wasn't always bad. I said Kendre Miller would have over 20 yards. And the Rat would have over 30 yards rushing. And that, who was it? Oh, Jaleel McLaughlin had over 20. A lot of work, man. We're gonna wrap it up today I can't wrap it up just yet. I got about 4 or 5 minutes of Spencer Rattler talk here before we wrap it up. But first, I got to tell you real quick. Told you earlier that we would let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help figure out what your family run or privately owned business might be worth, whether it's time to sell. Well, how do they do it? Not like the Saints. They're going to give you a complimentary valuation of your company. And then if you decide to proceed after you know what your company's worth, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from established private equity funds from around the world. That's right. I said it loud. And they will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. Very few companies like them in this area. And you don't even have to be from this area. If you're watching this show from Dallas, you're watching this show from St. Louis, they can help you. If you're thinking about selling your family-run business, get in touch with them. Nick and Ron. No one has their dedication and success. They are fully licensed, ready to serve you. Get in touch with them about what's really important. Not the Saints. Not Dennis Allen being fired. Not Mickey Loomis. Not who the next coach is going to be. What's really important is the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, I'm going to wrap up the show with a couple thoughts on Spencer Rattler. Williams says the Rattler hype has been off the charts. Even some of the media. Some of the media bought into the hype. Rattler is not an NFL starting quarterback. Some of the media. The media has been worse than some of you. Okay, I know that the Rattler. I thought maybe the Rattler hype would go away, and then I was listening on the way home to Bobby, and no, it's still there. They're still delusional. You're still delusional. And I got tons of friends. My son's can't even talk to him about it. He's still in the same rat boat. You know what's going to happen to Rattler? He'll be cut or not make the team next year or whatever. Whoever the new coach is will bring in his own quarterbacks. Maybe Carr will be here one more year, and whoever the new coach is will bring his own backup in. And Rattler and Hainer will both be gone. And next year I'll bring up his name, and the people who are Rattler lovers won't even acknowledge the fact that they thought he was going to be the savior for this franchise. Just telling you what's going to happen. We keep it real in this show. I've been saying for weeks, I hope I'm wrong. There's nothing yesterday. What Kool-Aid are people drinking to think Rattler's good? Here's the problem that I have, and Zach's taken up from him last night. Well, he'll get better. That's a rookie thing. It's not a rookie. When someone doesn't have vision, don't call it Rattler. He has some bite in him. Sherwin. Put it this way. I think Rattler has more of a chance to contribute to this team than Dennis Allen does. He's going to look way more composed. Absolutely. Look, I've said this before. I'll say it again. It doesn't really matter who the backup quarterback, Pelicans Nola, is. It doesn't matter. If it's Rattler, if it's Hainer, neither one holds a candle to Derek Carr anyway. They're probably going to lose with either one. But I've now seen 2 games of Spencer Rattler. I don't need to see any more. I'd like to see a full game of Jake Haener. And by listening to Dennis Allen, I had to listen to the whole damn press conference to find the best clips to pull. I think it was Jim Mora's clip that was the best to pull. But I think you're probably, if Carr's not ready to go, I think there's a good chance you get Haener next week. John Pace, embrace the suck. I can't. I don't embrace sucking. You see the shirt I'm wearing? I've been a Cubs fan my entire life. Finally won a World Series. Saints finally won a Super Bowl. You don't just take it. A-Town wants him to play around and around. No, man. Jerry, he doesn't have a choice. There's no choice. Got to embrace the suck. Sean, trade Cam, Davis, AK, Lattimore, Young, and Hill. Taysom Hill. No, you can't trade Taysom Hill. You're not going to get anything for Cam, and I mean nothing. You'll get nothing for Cam. I mean, 0. He's untradeable. AK, you probably get a 3rd rounder, maybe, if you're lucky. Lattimore, 3rd or 4th rounder. Nicholas, what do people think Rattler's going to do with the crap O-line and 3rd string wide receivers? You like Rattler. Why? Again, I'm going to go back to the same thing. It's similar to, you can read through lines. You don't need to have a stud receiving core, or it's the same when the team sucked because they didn't have heart. Now, Rattler played with heart, but there's a difference between playing your ass off and doing what the Saints did. And for a quarterback, there's no difference between he played his ass off, he tried, but he just doesn't have it. And the reason why I say that is not just because he missed so many open receivers, again, because he plays like a deer in the headlights. He can't think on the run. He's a guy that when pressure's coming at him and they're going to keep doing this to him, it's going to happen. This isn't just 2 games worth. I'm telling you right now. You can see this. This is going to happen. It happened to him in college. It's going to happen to him for the foreseeable future and probably as long as he gets a chance to be in this league. When he gets pressured, he's going to do something silly. Well, at least say these quarterbacks suck with talent currently playing them around. I mean, they suck because they suck. It's not just because the O-line sucks. It's not because the wide receiving core is hurt. I mean, they're just not good. Neither one of these backup quarterbacks are long-term answers. I personally, and I've said this before, I personally think that Jake Haener has a better chance, and it's still low, to be a long-term answer for anyone. Again, I don't think either one of them, but if I had to pick one that has a chance, it's Haener. Because you watched him on that last drive, especially in the touchdown pass, pressure in his face. What happened? He knew where the receiver was that he was supposed to go to right away. Rattler panicked. And he's panicked for 2 games now. I don't need to see any more from Spencer Rattler. I've seen enough. I've now seen him in 2 NFL games for 2 entire NFL games. And you may say, well, that's only 2 NFL games. And his O-line stinks and his wide receivers suck. I don't care. I've watched him in person. And I'm not just talking about what you see on TV. I've watched where he's looking. I've seen open receivers that they don't even talk about on TV, like wide open receivers. The same things Bo Nix did. I don't think he's going to be an NFL quarterback for long either. Why do you need to see any more? Again, the last 6 quarters, Spencer Rattler, 3 points, 4 turnovers. Okay. When you got more turnovers than points over a 6-quarter span, that's enough sample for me. Michelle, you're right. The Rattler, they're going to refuse. I don't know when. I don't know what's the breaking point. Patrick says he'd like to see what Haener has to offer. So would I. What is the breaking point for the Rattler lovers? Spencer Rattler has 2 games with 1 touchdown and 5 turnovers. Does he have 5 turnovers or 4? I don't know this. I know that He's got 3 points and 4 turnovers for sure over his last 6 quarters. John Fonseca says Haener is 100 times better than Rattler. Haener can identify pre-snap defenses 100% and knows where the favorable matchup is, which is my point. Nicholas, I admit I do want to see a whole game of Haener. Adam, Haener did more than Rattler. Haener did more, and it was 2 minutes. But yes, he did more in 2 minutes than Rattler did in 58. No doubt. At one point in the game, I didn't even mention this earlier, and we really do need to wrap it up now. It's getting late. But at one point in the middle of the second quarter, I'm not making this up, the Broncos had over 16 minutes in time of possession to the Saints 5. That isn't just because your defense doesn't give a damn or because your O-line sucks. That's also because your quarterback can't figure out how to keep the ball on your side of the field and can't figure out where to go with it. So this is the question maybe we'll ask next week. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Not trying to piss anybody off. When will you Rattler lovers, when will it be enough for you to say, okay, I don't need to see anymore. Y'all were right. That's the question I want to know. I'm not asking you to jump off the ship. If you're still on the Rattler, you love Rattler ship. Okay, it is what it is. But what would it take for you to say, okay, I'm done. He's not going to be the future of this team. When will that be? I got a feeling for some of you, it'll be never. You'll never admit it. And when it finally happens that you personally realize he stinks, you just won't admit it and you won't say anything and you'll just go bye-bye. I mean, I hope you don't, because I'm glad you're part of the Dattitude family. By the way, all of you people, Mike Meir, Rattler fan here, but I'm right. Be a fan. Anime didn't do diddly poo. Yeah, that's the kind of the words of the day. I'm not telling you not to be a fan of Spencer Rattler and saying that you hope that I'm wrong. By all means, please. I'm not telling you to jump off the rat train. Joe Hamilton, I've never liked any of this team. Joe Hamilton, where's Frank and Reynolds, by the way? Randall, great show. All right. Rat Dad. Don't jump off the rat train. By the way, again, if you watch it on Facebook, why are you watching it on Facebook? I'm thankful and happy you're watching us at all. But go find us on YouTube, okay? The YouTube page is growing. This show that we had today, we do this 4 days a week. It's not always this spirited. But we like to talk to you. What's different about this show than most others? Not every show. Some shows talk to you too. But what's different about this show is we encourage you to talk to us. Even the people we don't agree with. You see Gabe putting in the comments that the guy calling me a clown. Call me a clown. I don't care what you call me. You're an idiot. Okay. You're fat. Okay. Larry wanted to see Rattler in live action. Now that he's not it. But if you watch it on Facebook, go find me on YouTube and subscribe. You don't even have to watch it always on YouTube. Whatever. Just go subscribe on YouTube. I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. Kyle Sherman, wouldn't hurt so much if we didn't love the Saints. It's true. George Kiami says, yat dat. Yet I am. That this is. Chris, thank you. I'm real. Nobody else in NOLA Media. I do not kiss ass. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, Chris. It really, sometimes, and when you're walking around, like seriously, sometimes I'll look around and I just get that look. Sometimes the people inside the organization, it happened last night. I'm not going to mention any names. Joe, I answer your comment. That's why you love it. I think change is needed. Soup to nuts. And like the AI from the start. Okay. Still want to know what Frank and Reynolds thought. Or are you too young? You don't even know what I'm talking about. Kramer says rebuild. You'll always be a Who Dat fan. Kramer, you're always welcome here. All right, I got to go. I got a game tonight. VSN, Varsity Sports Now. If you want to hear me do play-by-play, I do it with just as much excitement as I do this show. The Archbishop Shaw Eagles, my alma mater. The alma mater of Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos. I will be doing play-by-play tonight at Joe Zimmerman Stadium. Varsity Sports Now. You can catch it Shaw versus Walker. You can kiss him goodbye. You can have fun watching it. Probably put some clips up on X. Programming notes, and I hope you regulars are still listening. I didn't even tell this to Gabe. Merlin, who dat? Okay. I did not tell this to Gabe, but we had been talking about this, and I think show number 300, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to pick three of you, and I should have said this earlier while all the regulars will still here. If you're interested, three of our regulars, now you have to have at least commented on, I don't know, I'm not going to go count, but you need to have commented on at least, 10 shows, okay? You can't just like pop out of nowhere and I'm going to put you on there. But episode number 300 is a week from today, October the 25th. It'll be previewing Saints Chargers. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to have put three of you on the air with me. I will make a slide for you and everything. Okay? Gabe's going to be in charge. Now, if you do something stupid, you're going to be banned. Okay? Because you're going to be on live. But if you're interested, okay, and I should have had, you can either get in touch with me on X and you see, and if you're listening after the fact, you count, okay? I'm not going to call you up if I don't recognize your name. I'm just saying. And I'm going to pick three. I'm not even going to lie. It's not going to be random. I'm not going to pick it out of a hat. I'm going to pick the three that I want to pick. Okay? You can be Rattler lovers. You could have told me I was a clown before. Doesn't matter. You can hate me. You could come on and hate me if you want. That doesn't matter. But that's how we're going to do episode number 300 next Friday. So you can either get in touch with me on Twitter and DM me at Jim Derry Jr., or you can email me at jderry, DERRY, at theadvocate.com. Or you can get in touch with Gabe at Gabe H Sports on X, or G Henderson at theadvocate.com. Is that right? No? He's going to tell me what his email is. But you can email Gabe as well. And that's how we're gonna do it. That's how we're gonna do it. Gabe.Henderson at theadvocate.com. So any of those, does it go for UBN? No, you're on anyway, dumbass. You'll be on Thursday. You don't count. No. So if you're a regular and you want to be on show number 300, then email me or DM me, and we're going to pick three people to do it. Okay, and I will mention this again. There's no show on Monday, so that's my Daryl Dandy. Love my show. Who dat for life? Thank you, Daryl. William, thanks for keeping it real and not following the rest of the sheep in the meat. I ain't sheep, brother. I'm more like a cow. I don't know. What am I? Pig. I don't know. Whatever you want to call me. I ain't a sheep. I ain't furry either. Anyway, I don't know what that means. Wednesday, we'll be back on Wednesday. No show on Monday. I'm going to take an extended weekend. I am tired, boss. I'm tired. Like they said, dog tired. Sit back and walking the Green Mile. I feel like I'm walking the Green Mile. I'm dog tired. So no show on Monday. We'll be back on Wednesday. Larry Holder is going to be with us on Wednesday. Nick, first time seeing your show. You enjoyed it. Thank you I hope you come back, Nick. Go find us on YouTube, and you can become part of the Dattitude family. Seriously. Again, you don't have to agree with me. Ray digs and respects what I do, and Ray doesn't always agree with me. Thank you, Ray Ibarra. Patrick Frazier, enjoy the weekend. Keep up the great work. You enjoy your weekend as well. All of you enjoy your weekend. You know what the good thing about all this is? Saints can't lose Sunday. Did you know that? Saints can't lose. Texas can. I didn't even put up this slide. That's how we go out. There's a lot of good football to watch on Sunday. Lions, Vikings, Texans, Packers, Chiefs, and Niners. Sorry, UBN. A lot of good football. Saints can't lose. You can just enjoy it. Adam, even though it hurts, who dat for life. Have a great weekend. I want to thank all of you for being my guest today on this special Mano E Friday. Charles Manga says, enjoy the weekend. Go Tigers. Absolutely. We didn't even talk Tigers. Darryl Levine, great show. Thanks for the day after lobotomy. No question about it, man. That's what you feel like you want to have a lobotomy. Tell your friends about the Dattitude podcast. Again, normally it's every weekday except Tuesday, live at 11 a.m. here on all these same bad channels. But again, I'm going to say it again for like the 20th time. Please go subscribe to the Dattitude page. If you haven't given us a like yet, still not doing it, Gabe. It's not doing it. No, it's not giving me the thumbs up. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, whatever. Larry Holder on Wednesday. The betting crew will be here on Thursday. It'll be Uncle Big Nick and Gabe. Well, Gabe's going to be here Wednesday too. Thursdays, we give you our best bets of the week. And we also preview whatever's coming up for the Saints and LSU. And then Friday is pretty much all Saints, assuming they're playing that week. And we also tell you the best of the week. Shebra Sherman, first timer, love the show. Thank you. And thank you all for being a part. A reminder again, you can also find us wherever you get your podcast if you would rather just listen after the fact. Apple, Spotify, and many more. And you can find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. You can find all of our work on bet.NOLA.com and NOLA.com/Saints. Our friends, the Saints Insiders, they're working their butts off. We will see you on Monday. Pelicans, NOLA, great show. Thank you. See you. Oh, no, we won't see you Monday. I'm sorry. We will see you on Wednesday. Everyone have a glorious weekend. The sun will come up tomorrow. I promise you. Maybe not for Dennis Allen, but it's going to come up for you. I promise. We will talk to you on Wednesday. Get in touch with me if you want to be on show number 300. We love y'all. Adios. Peace and love, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.